Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar presented by the Agterra Academy on how to use SprayLogger reporting. SprayLogger's first job is to record pesticide applications without distracting applicators from their job. So when an applicator starts a job using the SprayLogger plugin in MapItFast, the SprayLogger data logger then begins gathering all the details about every spray and no spray event from every boom on the rig. It stores all this data locally and automatically syncs it up to the web while your applicators perform their job as usual. So this alone is a pretty big feat, but where SprayLogger really earns its keep is in processing all of that data into visual and tabular reports that you can use to verify the work you've accomplished, protect yourself from liability, and uncover inefficiencies in internal operations. The SprayLogger system has a variety of different pre-built reporting options that are useful for different functions. These are designed to give you a complete picture of your spray operations in formats that can be easily shared with whoever you choose. And for those who wish to develop their own reporting, SprayLogger makes all the collected data available for export to third-party GIS and database systems. Today, we're going to explore these different reporting formats and provide some tips on how you can use them for different reporting requirements that you might have. So before we jump into it, we should explain a little bit about the format and structure of the webinar. My name's Eric Hoverston. I work in the marketing department here at Agterra. I've also brought Alan Price with me, who is on our support and sales team. Alan is going to walk us through the different reporting formats to show you how you access and make use of them to deliver impressive results to your customers and other stakeholders. We're currently here in the Agterra offices, and this presentation is being recorded live, but the video you're seeing is on about a 10 to 15 second delay. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see that you can pause and resume the webinar, go back to earlier parts, and even speed up or slow down the video. You can also click the live button to return to the current point in the webinar at any time. And you can even continue watching the webinar after the live recording itself has ended. We also encourage you to participate by using the built-in Q&A panel, which you can see on the right side of your screen. Please jot down any questions you have when they come up. We have someone moderating your questions who will answer them as we go along. Alan and I will also take a moment at the end of the presentation to respond to some of the questions that come up. Lastly, we're also going to post this webinar on the Agterra Academy website immediately after the event is finished, so you will be able to return to this information later if needed. Okay, so now let's go over the plan of attack for today. Broadly speaking, there are two types of data that SprayLogger collects when you record an application. There is precise location information about where each spray and no spray event takes place. And then there's tabular data that provides details about each spray and no spray event, such as the current weather conditions, the amount and kinds of chemical applied, the targets that were sprayed, and a whole lot more. We're going to break the discussion today into two parts. First, we're going to focus on the location information by looking at the different ways in which spray jobs can be displayed on maps to give you and your stakeholders a visual representation of your work. Then we'll explore ways to make use of the detailed spray data that SprayLogger collects by generating tabular reports. In an effort to keep the discussion focused, we're going to hold our attention exclusively to the reporting side of SprayLogger today. So we'll assume that you have already gathered the data by recording your spray jobs out in the field. And we'll also assume that you've reviewed the job data and made any adjustments that are necessary on the jobs portal of the SprayLogger website. At this point, you're looking to organize this data and present it to various stakeholders to demonstrate your job well done. In this webinar, we'll show you all that is available in SprayLogger for this purpose. All right, so then let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to start by jumping into displaying job data on maps. So spray maps are a key element of pesticide application reporting. Whether you're trying to understand your internal operations, meet regulatory requirements, or impress customers and board members. SprayLogger has a number of ways you can generate spray maps. Which format you choose depends in part on who the report is for and how you want to make use of it. So before we go into how you generate these maps, let's first briefly explain each of the built-in spray map formats that SprayLogger offers and some ways that you might make use of them. Then we'll bring in Alan to show us how you create each type of map. So first, SprayLogger generates printable map images of all of your spray jobs. Each job has an associated map tool that isolates the job and allows you to pan or zoom into an area before printing the map. These map images can be useful to include in PDF reports that are submitted to a customer or a grant issuing body. So that's one format for displaying map objects that, spray data on maps that SprayLogger offers. Next, spray jobs can be displayed as map overlays in MapItFast. This allows you to see your job in conjunction with other mapping that you've performed. So if you're looking to perform a review of your spray jobs for the purpose of directing your internal operations, then this can be a really useful format for understanding your spray activity, seeing it associated with your other activity that you've done on one map. And SprayLogger also provides a few different GIS export capabilities. The export files can be opened directly in third-party GIS software for more advanced analysis. A particularly useful export format is KMZ, which is the native format for Google Earth. Since Google Earth is a free application that's available on any computer, this format can make for some impressive presentations before boards or other stakeholders. And for organizations that have a GIS expert in their department, you can also export spray jobs to shapefile for integration into your external GIS database. All right, so with that really quick overview of some of the map options that we have in SprayLogger, I'm going to have Alan go ahead and share his screen with us to walk us through how to generate each of these map formats using the SprayLogger web system. Hey, Alan, why don't you go ahead and pop your screen on there for us?
All right, here we go.
Okay, so first, Alan, great. Thank you for being here to help us out a little bit.
You bet.
Okay, so I see that you have MapItFast open on your screen right now. So let's imagine that we want to do some internal review of our spray jobs. Why don't you show us how we can make use of the SprayLogger job overlay in MapItFast for this purpose?
All right, so we're here at MapItFast and you want to pull up the job, a spray job that you just did and see exactly where you were at. Over on the bottom right hand side of your screen, you're going to see the SL for SprayLogger. You're going to open that up. Here you can either, it defaults to the current year you're in, and then you can pick how many entries you want to show. If you have a lot of jobs and you need a search, just go ahead and hit the search bar and type in the first little bit of the job and hit enter, and it'll pull all those up. Lucky for me, my job's right here that I'm going to show. I'm going to click on it, scroll down and hit load. That's going to pull the job up and it'll automatically center over where your job was. And from here, we can see the whole job from start to finish with the spray and no spray lines. Now, if we go ahead and zoom in on it, this is where we'll actually get to see the breaks, with the green being our no spray line and then our spray lines here with our polygons. And this is done with an E3B, had 2 booms set up on it. So if I click on one of these spray segments, it's going to pull it up. Now this start and stop time is the start and stop time for this spray segment alone, not for the entire job. It tells me my width that I had set was a 30-foot spray width, my gallons, my customer, my application number. The application number we'll get into here in a little bit on the job reports. Any targets I had selected, my spray rig, my serial number, my average speed, temperature, and then my tank mix, and then my gallons for my tank mix and what I put out there. So this here is going to give you a quick view in the shop or in the office on what your spray job was. And all of these are interactive. It runs just like MapItFast. Just click over and you can click on any of the spray segments that are out here.
Cool. All right. And so, yeah, I see. So if you zoom out, I see this, you've got this spray job on top of an existing project. So it's a powerful way of integrating the different components of your operations within the MapItFast system. So is this spray job now like a part of the project, or what's the relation between this spray job and the project that you've got there?
So no, this is not attached to the project. This, with it not being attached like this, you're able to pull up your different projects. Say if you were out scouting for a certain kind of weed, you can pull this spray job up on that project and it'll show you where you've hit on those weed sightings. If you need to get rid of the project, it's real easy. Just come down to the spray menu, SprayLogger again, and you're going to hit clear. And all that's doing is taking it off that project. It's not clearing the job out of SprayLogger or anything. It just allows you to put it on a Map It Fast project, and take it off of a Map It Fast project.
All right, yeah, awesome. So I can see how that could really help help you understand your operations a bit better, and a way to see your jobs in an interactive format. All right, cool. So then let's go ahead and then move on next to, if you wouldn't mind, showing us how we can get a printable map of one of our spray jobs for when we need to include a map image in a PDF report.
Okay, so from there, we're going to jump over to the SprayLogger website. Everywhere you need to go on the SprayLogger website is on your front page here. We're going to click on Jobs and Maps. And this will bring it up. And of course, you can search through by customer, by year, by applicator. You can search for a specific job you'd want. So right now, I'm going to pull up my 2021 SprayLogger Reporting. I'm going to click on the map icon. Now, I will let you know, if you have a big job, it's not going to pull up on here. And when you get to those bigger jobs, you'll have to do that into the KMZ export, and we'll cover that here in a minute. But this job right here comes up on the map, and it is not interactive at all like what we saw on Map It Fast and what we're going to see on the KMZ export. You can zoom in, and it will show your booms if you're set up to have the split boom reporting. So what I want to do now is I just get it in there, zoom out to where I can see my whole job, and then I just hit my print button. Like Eric said, you know, this is good if you have a PDF report that you're needing to hand somebody, if you need to download this and attach it to an email to say, hey, this is where I sprayed at today. This is the best way to do it that way.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks. All right. So that's great. So we've covered then how to display jobs on maps for internal review and then for printed reports. So lastly, let's say that I want to produce an interactive map for jobs that can be shared with people outside of the organization. Okay. So how would I go about doing that?
Well, we're going to click back to the main page of the SprayLogger website. Now we're going to go into export data. From here, your date range will always default to the first day of the month to the current day of the month. You can also search by target, chemical, tank mix, customer, application, spray rigs, and then some additional parameters if you'd like. When you go to export it here, like my date range shows, I have 4 jobs available. If I was to just hit download now, it is going to download all 4 of those jobs and combine them together. That's not what we're wanting to show today. So I'm going to hit my jobs available. I'm going to come down and select the job I want. And it highlights it up here and says what job I have. Now, if I wanted to download this into a shapefile, export it out, I'd hit the shapefile, the CSV, or the GPS exchange. We're going to go with the Google Earth KMZ. Like Eric said, you know, this is a great way to share because this program is free to anybody who wants to download it. So I have my Google Earth selected. I'm going to hit download. You see this one downloaded pretty quick. Pulls it up in the lower left-hand corner of my screen. I'm going to open it up. And it opened on the wrong window, so I got to bring it over here for you. There we go. Can you see that, Eric?
Oh, yep, looking good. Okay.
So now it opens it up into the Google Earth KMZ. This is the one if you have a big spray job or if you need to send it to somebody who needs the interactiveness of the KMZ. This is how you do it. You just export it, open it, and then you'd go through and save it, and then you can email it to whoever you'd like, or just save it for your records down the road. So if we zoom in here, it has my spray, my no spray, and my spray. So when I click on the spray lines, it's going to bring it up like it did in Map It Fast. It's going to tell me the line ID, my temperature, my gallons applied, humidity, all of my weather information, my customer, my application numbers, and then again the start and stop time just for this spray line here, not for the entire job. SprayLogger, and then these are the weeds, the targets that you can select when you start a job. Again, those are not required. Those are there in case you would like to utilize them. My tank mix, and then my line area is how big my line is. So this is the great way to have an interactive map, and this one is also can really cover you out in the field. If you ever have somebody accuse you of spraying while you're driving by their property, this is the one that you can pull up and you can show them, you are correct. You know, I did drive by your property, but as you can see from my no spray line which is the green, I did not spray by your property. And if you do click on this green line, your no spray line, all it's going to tell you is the date and the time that line was. There's really no way to change the mapping on this. So this is a good one to really help you out and protect your company or your organization.
Yeah, all right, cool. I can see how, I mean, it's a pretty impressive format, easy, accessible for everyone. They can see exactly where your spray activity took place. Well, cool. Thanks for all that, Alan. So I'm actually going to take control back now, and we'll move on to the next segment. So we're going to transition from the map-based displays of your spray data to options that are available for reporting on the many different details about spray applications that SprayLogger collects. So just like producing maps, SprayLogger comes with a number of pre-built report formats that are each useful for different contexts. And you also have the ability to export tabular data for creating your own custom reporting. We're briefly going to look at all that's available for this side of SprayLogger's reporting, and then we'll throw it back to Alan again to explain a little bit more about them. So let's go ahead and start with these individual job reports. The individual job report is a report that compiles all the details about each application in one or more of your spray jobs and presents it in an intuitive and detailed format. These ready-to-go reports can be generated and downloaded the instant the job is complete, and they have been designed with extensive input from spray industry professionals to provide all the details that are needed to satisfy customers and state and federal regulatory bodies alike. The primary use of the individual job report is for providing customers with an immediate and detailed accounting of the job you completed for them. The reports can also be configured to include costing information so they can serve for invoicing purposes. Another function of the job report is as liability protection for your organization. So just like Alan mentioned earlier, if you're ever challenged by someone for spraying something or somewhere that you shouldn't have, in addition to providing them with that map showing exactly where you were, you can also provide detailed and rigorous documentation of your spray job in your defense. All right. Next, throughout the spray season, it's useful to have access to those individual job reports. But when at the end of the season rolls around, you'll also want to be able to get a general overview of how the season went. For this, you need a summary report that provides totals across all jobs performed over a certain time period. SprayLogger has two types of summary report, which generate totals of gallons applied, distance treated, and acres treated. One report displays the totals for each individual job, and the other further groups the jobs to give totals per customer. Each is filterable to include just those jobs from a specific date range. So summary reports are often required by grant issuing bodies to demonstrate how the grant was utilized, and they can also be a valuable resource to provide to your board to explain where their investment is going and how valuable it's been. So the summary report is another really useful built-in tool that SprayLogger has for reporting tabular data. Now, the built-in reports that from SprayLogger are very thorough, but if you're looking for customized reporting, you don't have to make use of just these reports alone. All of the tabular data that SprayLogger collects is available for you to export as a CSV file. From there, you can manipulate the job data in any third-party spreadsheet editor to design your own reports. When you generate a CSV export for a job, you can see just how thorough the data is that SprayLogger collects. And we'll have Alan give you a glimpse of that here in just a moment. And the last reporting element that I wanted to introduce here is the SprayLogger dashboard. So the dashboard is a really neat feature that allows you to see an overview of your operations in a series of charts and graphs. The dashboard highlights key metrics and consolidates all that SprayLogger data into an intuitive graphical format. The tool has a number of features that allow you to get a quick overview at a glance, but it also allows you to perform some in-depth analysis for planning your operational developments. So with that quick overview of the different reporting formats here, I'm going to send it back over to Alan to walk us through each of these spray detail reporting formats. All right, Alan, if you want to take over again.
All right.
Okay, so I went through and looked at the individual jobs first, but let's go ahead and start a little bit later in the season with you here. Let's say that I've gone a ways through the spray season, and I want to get a report that combines and totals all of my jobs that I've done so far. Why don't you show us a summary reporting for that?
All right, so what we're going to do is hit the reports. Then we have summary report and summary by customer. I'm going to select the summary by customer. Here you have the ability to put in the date ranges that you want to search. I'm going to just go ahead and stick with the current month we're in and hit generate report. I will let you know that if you pick a wide date range, it could take a few minutes for it to process that request because there is a lot of information that is going through your database and pulling into it. So this pulled up my summary by customer. This list, like you were talking about, all your jobs, the customers, and the nice thing about this one is it breaks them down into a group. So in this case, all of the Agterra customers are here. We got a municipality down here, who the applicator was, their spray rig, which tank mix they used, and their gallons applied, and their mile distance treated, and their acres treated.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so just a really quick overview, get those totals. You can show exactly the amount that you put in for these customers. But so this does raise a question. So let's say that I'm a government agency that doesn't really work with customers per se. So then it seems in that case that this report might not be that useful for me. Is that right?
Yes, it really depends on how you're going to run your spray jobs. We have the customer block in there, and that, that's a good place where you can put in the customers you're using. We do have quite a few of our customers who utilize the SprayLogger that are government agencies, and under customer, they'll put like the county road they're on or the date they were on, or you're able to pick and choose what you want to fill in those blocks to better suit your organization's needs to help you narrow it down at the end of the year if you're ever needing a summary.
Okay. All right. So the customer is fairly flexible there and can be used however my organization is structured.
Correct.
Okay. And so I can still get a summary that breaks it down based on that structure that I choose.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Well, that's great. So that gives us a sense then of how to report a summary of multiple jobs. So then with that out of the way, let's go ahead then and take a look at the individual job report. So how do I access and generate those reports, and what all do I get?
All right, well, let's jump in there. So we hit the reports button again. And again, the default date range is the first of the month to the current day of the month. If you do need to change that, you just click in the block. You can either type it in or use the arrows to scroll back and forth. I'm going to stick with what we have going on in April. From here, you can break it down even farther. You can search by chemicals, tank targets, tank mixes, customers, applications, spray rig, any of those you want. Now, just like when you're exporting, if I don't select an individual job, it's going to generate a report on everything I have up here in this drop-down window. I'm going to go pick this single job again, and it's highlighted up here, displays the name. I'm going to hit generate report. And I will let you know if you forget to pick a single job and you have multiple jobs up there, it will take a few minutes to load because there is an awful lot of information that is pulling in. So if we take a look at our job report here, we can see it's 4 pages. It has our job name, our customer, equipment cost, our labor cost, chemical, and any other cost we associated with it. We have our acres treated, our miles, and number of applications. If you guys remember when we were looking at the KMZ export, I clicked on one and it had my application of like 101 and another one of 100. This is where we'll go and talk a little bit about that. Here's all the targets that we selected. As you can see, we can turn them on and off throughout the jobs. This is a total gallons applied when that target was selected. And then here's our total chemical used. So we'll jump down here. This application 100, if I go, because we know that many jobs take longer than 1 day to complete. So if I stop the job on the first day and I go out the second day and I enter in the same job name and the same customer name, it's going to store it all underneath one report. So you don't have to go through and dig through multiple reports trying to find everything with that one job. So application 100 is the first day that I went out there on the job. Gives me gallons applied, calibrated gallons per acre, acres treated, rig capacity, my rig total cost, all that information that you're needing, my chemicals, my applicator, and my application workday. So this start day was the 12th, and my start and stop time and my total time. Here's all my weather information. If I scroll down here to application 101, this is the second time I started this job. And then this will just capture the information for this second time I started the job. All the same information, chemicals, applicators, and then my start and stop time and weather information. And everybody, I'm sure, guessed it, application 102, same information. This is just the third time I started the job. Chemicals, applicator, which is not here, application workday, and weather information.
All right, man. Yeah, that's so super detailed. Lots of information about the spray job, the summary on top, and then each application broken out. So yeah, we're looking at this application 102, and you mentioned that the applicator isn't there. I'm presuming that there was an applicator on that application. So what do we do if you have a report where something was forgotten like this, and there's an error in it, like we're missing an applicator?
All right, so I forgot to select myself as the applicator, so you called me out on that one, Eric. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back up here, go to the main site, go over back to jobs and maps. We looked at the map. Now we got this edit button next to the map. I'm going to select that. And as you can see, it has my applications on here, and I have applicators. So I'm looking 102. I forgot to put myself as the applicator. So I'm going to select the edit button on that one. And here you can also adjust your gallons if you need to, your spray rig, if you forgot to put in the cost on your spray rig, our pesticide applicator right here. Here's where I can go in and select myself, add. There I am. I can change my billing rate if I need to, any weather information, and then additional costs. Say if there's drive time, you got to drive 50 miles out to where your job last stopped and you needed to include drive time, you could add that here, forms, or any targets that you might have forgot to add. And then of course, any comments if you need to. So now I'm going to close that out. I'm going to go back to my reports, select that same one again, generate the report. As you can see, it takes a little bit because there's a lot of information that's pulling in. Now, if I scroll all the way down to that last application, there I am. I'm listed on there as the applicator. So if you are out there spraying and you forget to add yourself as the applicator, you are able to go back and add that in. You do not have to stop the job and start everything all over again. So that's how you would do that, Eric.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's really good to know. So that we can do some editing of the jobs before we send the report out. It's really helpful. Cool. All right. So that's great. So yeah, you showed us how we can generate individual job reports and then even do some editing on them if necessary. So that's great. So these built-in reports that we looked at, they're all really thorough. But what if I've got a very particular format that I want my data to be presented in? Do I just have to make do with these built-in reporting that SprayLogger provides?
No. So we're going to go back to our export area, and we're going to select this current job. And here's where we had the Google Earth or the shapefile. Now we're going to select this CSV. I'm going to download, and it opens up. Let me make this bigger so everybody can see it. Expand these columns for you. The CSV download is where you can use it. This captures every bit of line information from that spray job. Every time the SprayLogger was turned on and off, it captures every little detail on there. This one here is where you're going to be able to pick out of here what you need for your report to help build your own customized reports. You can see we got all of our weeds, our tank mixes, start and stop time for each spray job. And when we talked about the application numbers, here they are. It starts at 100 for the first time and it'll go all the way down to 102 and capture all the information. Start, stop times, gallons, which weeds you were spraying or which targets you were spraying, your weather, all the information is there. and you can use this however you need to build any of your reports.
Wow, cool. Yeah, all right, so that really makes the SprayLogger a pretty flexible system. Just a little bit of knowledge about Excel spreadsheets. You can generate some pretty cool custom reports. All right, great. So before I let you go, why don't you take us over to the SprayLogger dashboard to explain those charts and graphs that I briefly mentioned.
All right. So the dashboard, down here, you just hit dashboard. Now this one can take a little bit of time to load depending on your date range. My date range, you can see up here, is from January 1 of this year to February 28th of this year. This is pulling in every little bit of information on every single job you've done so far in this date range. And you have it displayed up in here, total areas applied in acres. You can select either customer, job, tank mix, chemical, or rig. Same with total distance applied in miles. You can pick it by the customer. If you need to know how many miles I drove for this customer or on this county road, if you have that listed in there when you created your job, you can search just by that. Total chemicals used. And if you just hover over them, it will highlight and give you a quick explanation, your total cost. So let's come up here to this total areas applied by customer. And you're just trying to figure this out, and you get into these little tiny ones here. You can either expand it up, still doesn't really help us out any. So I'm going to click here and I want to say show data. So here it breaks it out by line. And this way you can see all the little tiny ones without having to squint your eyes and get real close. You can also export this out into another CSV. So if you're using our CSV export to build your reports, you can export all of these out also into a CSV to help build whatever kind of report you need. Here at Acterra, we give you all the tools to run your company however you want. We don't tell you how to do it. We just give you all the tools so you can run it and get any information that you would like out of there.
Well, cool. Yeah, there's a lot of detail in these charts and graphs. Really quick way to get a nice overview of what's going on in the organization. And I suppose also make adjustments to your operations on the basis of this.
Yes.
Well, great, Alan. So I think you've pretty much covered everything that we're looking at here for the reporting, both on the mapping side and on the tabular data. So I want to thank you for taking the time to show us around the SprayLogger website. We'll have you keep with us for a little bit longer, see if we have any questions that come in. But I'm going to go ahead and take control back from you.
All right.
All right. So yeah, just to give a quick recap there, Alan gave us a run through on summary reports for multiple jobs, the individual job report, custom reporting using the CSV export, and the SprayLogger dashboard. With that really covers what we were hoping to get to today on SprayLogger reporting. We want to thank you all for being here and watching the webinar. We hope that this helped you get a better sense of what all is available for reporting on pesticide applications with SprayLogger, and some of the different ways that you can make use of these reports that are made available on the SprayLogger website.